Lee Van Cleef was born on January 9, 1925 in Somerville, New Jersey. Growing up in a small town, he developed a strong work ethic from an early age, which was further nurtured by his father, a watchmaker who taught him the value of precision. After serving as a radio operator in the US Navy during World War II, Van Cleef returned home to attend the University of South Carolina, where he studied engineering. However, the allure of Hollywood soon called to him, and he made the life-changing decision to pursue a career in acting. In the early stages of his career, Van Cleef appeared in minor roles in films, often as military personnel or a cowboy, but it was clear from the beginning that his striking appearance and intensity would lead him to a more prominent role in the film industry. Rise to fame, spaghetti westerns and iconic roles. Lee Van Cleef's breakthrough came in the 1960s when he was cast in Sergio Leone's The Good, the Bad and the Ugly 1966 as the cold-blooded gunslinger Angel Eyes. The film, part of the iconic Dollars trilogy, established Van Cleef as one of the most memorable villains in Western cinema. His sharp features, piercing eyes and stoic presence perfectly suited the role of a ruthless bounty hunter, and his portrayal of Angel Eyes elevated the character from a mere villain to one with a complex, almost tragic, moral code. Following this success, Van Cleef's career flourished, particularly in the genre of spaghetti westerns, where he portrayed morally ambiguous characters who blurred the lines between good and evil. Films such as For a Few Dollars More, 1965, and The Big Gun Down, 1966, solidified his place in Western film history. The villain with depth, complex characters. While Lee Van Cleef became renowned for playing villains, his performances went far beyond the typical bad guy tropes. He brought depth and complexity to his characters, making them memorable and multifaceted. In films like Death Rides a Horse, 1967, and Day of Anger, 1967, Van Cleef portrayed aging gunslingers who had been shaped by their harsh pasts, imbuing them with a sense of tragic dignity. These characters were often driven by a moral code that, while not aligned with a society's rules, gave them a certain respectability in their world. Van Cleef's nuanced performances were one of the reasons his villains stood out. He made them believable, even sympathetic, and showed that even the most ruthless of characters could have a sense of honor or a personal code of ethics. Expansion beyond westerns, diversification of roles. Although Van Cleef achieved legendary status within the western genre, his talents extended beyond it. In the 1970s and 1980s, he began to diversify his roles and appear in action films and television. His distinctive voice and commanding presence made him an ideal fit for roles in films like Escape from New York, 1981, where he played the menacing villain Hawk, and The Octagon, 1980, which paired him with martial arts legend Chuck Norris. Van Cleef also made notable appearances on television, such as in The Master, 1984, where he portrayed a martial arts expert. These roles allowed Van Cleef to reach new audiences and proved his ability to seamlessly transition from playing the iconic Western villain to more contemporary action roles, further cementing his status as a versatile actor. Lee Van Cleef's personal life, marriages and family. While Lee Van Cleef's public persona was shaped by his powerful screen presence, his personal life was marked by several significant relationships and a dedication to his family. His first marriage to Patty Ruth Cale in 1943 produced 3 children, David Allen and Deborah Van Cleef. Despite his rising career, the couple's relationship faced challenges due to his frequent absences and the unpredictable nature of his work. After 15 years of marriage, the couple divorced in 1958, and Van Cleef's career began to stagnate as he struggled with personal and professional setbacks. He remarried in 1960 to Joan Marjorie Draa, a relationship that coincided with the beginning of his rise to stardom, particularly after his iconic role in For a Few Dollars More. However, their marriage ended in 1974. In 1976, Van Cleef married Barbara Havalone, who would remain by his side until his passing in 1989. The injury that defined Van Cleef's legacy. Lee Van Cleef's physical presence on screen was further marked by a memorable injury that added to his tough guy persona. While building a playhouse for his daughter Deborah, he lost the last joint of his right-hand middle finger. This injury, which required significant medical attention, did not hinder his career in the least. In fact, it became a part of his on-screen persona, adding to the rugged toughness he was known for. Van Cleef's ability to hide this injury from the camera only contributed to the mystique surrounding his persona as a hardened, unflappable character. It was a testament to his professionalism and dedication to his craft as he continued to work through the pain, never allowing personal setbacks to sideline his career. Lee Van Cleef's animosity with John Wayne. One of the most well-known aspects of Lee Van Cleef's personal life was his profound dislike for fellow Western icon John Wayne. Despite both actors achieving legendary status in the Western genre, their careers and personal philosophies could not have been more different. Van Cleef, known for his brooding, complex villains, saw Wayne's larger-than-life persona as emblematic of the superficial aspects of Hollywood. While Wayne was the embodiment of the stoic, all-American cowboy, Van Cleef believed that Wayne's portrayal of the genre lacked depth and nuance. Wayne's tendency to play the same heroic role in film after film stood in stark contrast to Van Cleef's willingness to explore morally ambiguous characters, a distinction that made Van Cleef feel that Wayne was more of a symbol of Hollywood's stagnation than a true actor with range. Political and personal differences fuel the feud. The animosity between Van Cleef and Wayne was not just about their contrasting acting styles, but was also fueled by political and personal differences. Wayne was a staunch conservative, vocal in his support for the Vietnam War and traditional American values, while Van Cleef was more reserved in his political views, leaning toward progressive ideals. Van Cleef reportedly found Wayne's public political stance distasteful, particularly his unwavering support for militarism and conservative causes. The ideological divide between the two men, along with their differences in acting style and work ethic, created a deep-seated resentment in Van Cleef, who viewed Wayne as a symbol of a Hollywood system that favored celebrities with a fixed persona over actors willing to take risks and explore a wider range of characters. The enduring influence of Lee Van Cleef's characters. Lee Van Cleef's portrayal of villains, particularly in the Western genre, remains influential to this day. He helped redefine the role of the antagonist in Westerns, making characters who could have been mere stereotypes into figures of complexity and nuance. His ability to combine menace with charisma allowed him to create some of the most iconic villains in cinematic history. Even as the Western genre has evolved, Van Cleef's characters continue to serve as a reference point for actors and filmmakers who seek to portray morally complex figures. His legacy lives on through the continued admiration of fans and film scholars who recognize the depth and skill he brought to his roles. Van Cleef's resilience and dedication to his craft. Throughout his career, Lee Van Cleef was known for his resilience and dedication to his craft. Despite facing setbacks in his personal and professional life, including a near-fatal car accident and a period of career stagnation, Van Cleef never gave up on acting. His commitment to his work, even when faced with physical and personal challenges, was evident in his performances. Whether portraying a hardened gunslinger or a morally conflicted anti-hero, Van Cleef's dedication to his craft allowed him to continue working well into his later years, earning the respect of both his peers and fans. His career serves as a testament to the power of perseverance and the ability to overcome obstacles in pursuit of artistic excellence.